Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Welcome to the program. I'm Mark Imperial. Are you self-employed or do you own a business and find it challenging to get a mortgage to finance your home? There are solutions available for you, and that's what we're going to discuss today with my next guest, Amanda Madsen. Amanda is a professional loan originator who specializes in solutions for business owners and self-employed professionals. She's also a contributing author on the subject of financing for the self-employed in a newly released best-selling book titled Home Buying Insights, available now on Amazon, Kindle, and Barnes & Nobles, among other booksellers. Amanda, welcome to the program.
Hi, thank you, Mark.
So Amanda, tell us a little bit about your business and how you help your clients.
Well, I come from being self-employed. That's my background. In my biography, it talks about me being a hairstylist and running my own salon. And so in that world and in many others that are self-employed, we're always trying to get rid of paying a lot of taxes, which then, in this day and age, when you do a lot of deductions on your taxes, your income gets really low. And I tend to find myself really gravitating to a lot of the self-employed borrowers out there as I've changed into this industry in the mortgage industry. And it was a big shocker to me to see how the income gets generated and how we have to calculate that. And that's kind of what jump-started my concept of getting involved in helping self-employed people and help them on their way to owning their dream home. That's kind of how I got into it and what pushes me into my genre or my niche, if you will.
What do you commonly see as the number one challenge that self-employed folks face when it comes to getting a mortgage?
Oh, they've just written off as much as they possibly can. And then in doing so, the income that we're able to use is so very low that in this day and age where housing market is doing really well, they actually deduct themselves out of a home completely. And one of the biggest challenges is when I deal with a client that comes to me, say, looking at their taxes, and they might have a really good, overall income, which they've generated really well. After that CPA gets their hands on it, they just want to usually, and I really hate to put like a label on this situation with CPAs, but they find like the way mortgage originators have to use income on taxes really perplexing, and they don't understand it. But it is what it is, and it's how we have to go about generating the income by our government. So we really want to just, instead of deducting everything in the expense compartment, there are some other options for self-employed borrowers that kind of gives them a break, and we can help give them income back. And one of those is in the deduction category, and also mileage. Those are ones that we can tend to give back in income. So while you're getting the deduction, it's something that is also a bonus, and we can give back to you in qualifying income. I guess in a nutshell, those are the two things that I find most CPAs struggle to listen to when I try to work with them in helping our same mutual clients obtain home ownership.
I believe that a lot of business owners, just in their own heads, they think, I'm self-employed. It's going to be impossible for me to get a mortgage. Do you hear that a lot? Is that a common misconception, or can you tell us a little bit about some of the biggest myths or misconceptions that you hear from business owners?
I think there is some misconceptions. The misconception comes from thinking they're going to qualify on their gross income before deductions. And the other one is that they might think there's no way they qualify. It's so hard. There's so much paperwork, and it's quite difficult. But I think those are both misconceptions or myths. And one of the things I really love to do is to help educate my borrowers that are self-employed on how we can kind of still get them the discounts that they're really needing, so they're not, bleeding out in taxes at the end of the year. And also just helping them to kind of understand, like, there's a fine line that we kind of play in. And we do this with the CPA, and I love to teach that to them. I love to give them that information once we kind of work past those myths and misconceptions.
You mentioned the big common mistakes with all the deductions that folks make that give them challenges in getting approved for financing. Are there any other common mistakes that you see business owners make that could be avoided?
I think another misconception that can also be avoided is when they're using travel and entertainment, food as a deduction, and it helps out. And some companies are going to have that as a higher number than others. It actually hurts you when you're qualifying for a home loan. We actually have to take that exact number that is on the food and travel item line and reduce your income. That's also something that they don't really understand, that while it helps you in one area, it can actually hurt you when it comes to owning a home or trying to purchase your home.
So you mentioned in the book, you mentioned a story about a challenging loan that you were able to get done for somebody. Can you share that story for our listeners?
Yeah, absolutely. He's a friend of mine today, and I help him get into a lot of homes moving forward. He was 21, had just got off of a Mormon mission, and at that time, you were able to use the Mormon mission, the time that he was on his mission, as works history. That since changed, so just to kind of clear that up. But what we did, he came to me really frustrated, and he had been in 2 previous scenarios and had lost earnest money both times because he was working with a loan officer who didn't understand a few of the ins and outs. He was also working for his father and starting his own business, and I was able to get him into a home, and he, to the very moment we were up signing his title, he couldn't believe it was happening. And since that time, we got him into a home. He purchased another home, and since then we've purchased probably 5 more homes. So he has now income and a business making off of his investment properties, but he also has another business that he's self-employed in. So we've really had a lot of fun generating a real estate investment portfolio together since we got started. And he's always one of the stories that I tell people about. He actually named me the mortgage wizard. So that's kind of where my one of my names I get called in the industry quite often. And we're actually going to get him into a couple more this year. It's been really great.
That's terrific. And I really can see how having someone like you in their corner for the long haul can really make it much easier because you know his background, you know the story. And is that why you're able to get him future properties funded even easier because you already have all that history?
Yeah, actually, I'm finding I'm gathering more and more people, and we tend to be in it for the long haul. And that's when they get into doing more investment properties. They see the value in getting investment properties under their portfolio, whether it is short-term rental or long-term rental. And it's really fun, and it actually makes it really easy. We just keep setting each year up for success as we meet and we talk about, like, what are their goals? Are they wanting to obtain another home or 2 to add to their portfolio? And then we talk about some of the things that need to take place as we get prepared to do their taxes. And it is fun, and it definitely helps to go for the long haul that way.
We need more folks like you around the country. Are you licensed in Illinois at all?
No, but I'm thinking about getting licensed in Illinois.
Yeah, it sounds like just the perfect type of loan originator that would be good to have on your team, especially as you mentioned, getting into real estate investment properties. It sounds really powerful. Amanda, can you tell us like what inspired you? You mentioned a little bit earlier about what inspired you to help the self-employed get funding. What inspired you to get into the business altogether, get into mortgages, and then get into helping self-employed?
I used to do the hair when I was a hairstylist. I used to do a friend of mine, and she was a loan originator, and it just kind of resonated with me, and I wanted to get out of the industry. And as and when I was a hairstylist, I always thought I couldn't get a home loan. I couldn't get a loan. And looking back, I actually could have if I had known, some of the things I know now. But I feel like I want to see more self-employed borrowers achieve home ownership, because I guess it was a dream of mine that I thought I couldn't obtain. And I really love helping people get into a home, because I see the benefit of that on a financial level and how it sets them up in the future financially. And then I like to talk with them about how we can make some other options where we can have more passive income, or we can help build your asset portfolio. And when those people get interested and they see the benefit, then it's really, really exciting to move on from there, because then you just watch this thing grow to whatever level that they want it to. And it's really fun to be a part of, and it's really fulfilling to help others do that. It really makes me happy to see their success. It's more than I think I ever thought it would be in terms of fulfilling.
Amanda, can you share a lesson that you had learned like really early on in your career that still helps you in your practice today?
Boy, that is a really great question. I think the more time has gone by, and I look back in my career, I feel like I've had some really wonderful people that have just, we're trying so hard to get into a home, and we're working with the wrong people. And I felt like I could see their potential to really get themselves established. And it becomes like this drive that just, I have to help them. And I have worked with so many people for a year, 2 years, 3 years to get them into a home ownership, whether they're self-employed or not. I truly feel like getting them into a home has really, some of their stories and their situations has really made me stop and look at like the quality of life and the quality of getting them into a home and helping their kids start having a better quality of life. It's so fulfilling. And I've had a few stories, and I wanted to share it if I have time. A young family, they were living in a two-bedroom apartment, and they were having credit trouble and income trouble. And they came to me as a referral, and they had so many loan officers in their past that were kind of misguiding them in terms of how to get their credit repair in line in order to get a home. And this woman I knew was eager, and she followed every step. She was so driven to help get their kids in this family, because if I remember right, they had four kids in a 2-bedroom house, and had some hard times, but we were able to, with a lot of hard work and a lot of dedication, get them into a much bigger home in the country where her kids have like been able to flourish and grow, and the relationships changed and altered. And I know how much like equity they have in their home now. I know how they can be set up to do more for their family with their family. They sent me flowers afterwards. It was so cute. And I still keep in touch with them, but I learn with them, and every one of those hard stories or those things that we might have some difficult challenges in loans makes me a better loan officer, makes me a better person, and always helps me to strive to keep up on what's happening in our industry and be an advocate for my current borrowers and my future borrowers. I feel like we build relationships and keep in touch over time, and to catch up with them later and see how well they're doing because of just getting into a home is really a beautiful thing to me. So I hope that answered your question.
Oh yeah, that sounds absolutely wonderful. It's really a pleasure to hear the impact on people and how it really helps people's lives altogether. And you think it's just financing, but it's a lot more than that, because it's really about people's homes. It's their life. So, Amanda, for our listeners out there who are resonating with you, and it's obvious that they would certainly benefit by having you in their corner for their funding. If there are folks listening that are self-employed or business owners, how can they find you, get a hold of you, get in touch with you, and how can you help them?
Well, I am on Facebook at Amanda Madsen Mortgage with Security National. I am on LinkedIn, Amanda Madsen. You can email me at amanda.madsen@snmc.com, and I'm happy to answer any questions that they might have. And if I may not be licensed in that state that they may have questions, I have some excellent people that I could also put them in front of that I work with to help them also do self-employed borrowers. And or I'd be willing to get the license for them. Just get licensed.
Nice. Amanda, thanks for taking the time. This has been absolutely terrific, and I wish you continued success for you and for all of your clients.
Well, thank you, Mark. It was been great talking with you.
We've been talking with Amanda Madsen, contributing author to the new best-selling book titled Home Buying Insights, available now on Amazon, Kindle, and Barnes & Noble's, just to name a few booksellers. So that wraps up our special segment on mortgage lending for the self-employed. Until next time, I'm Mark Imperial. I'm Mark Imperial, and this is the program spotlighting noteworthy professionals, experts, and business owners from around the world and in your town. If you know a great business or professional that we should feature on the program, I'd like to hear from you. You could nominate them by emailing me at radio@markimperial.com. Once again, that's radio@markimperial.com. In this next segment, our home stretch, I've got a special treat for you. If you're a business owner or professional, or if you aspire to be one, for over 7 years, I've been interviewing leading experts and business celebrities and sharing their secrets to success with you. From my first show, Entrepreneur's Edge, to Game Changers Radio, to Mad Rocket Business, all the way to Remarkable Radio and this program today, in this home stretch, I'm bringing you a flashback to one of my most popular episodes, covering how to attract clients magnetically using only the power of words and without costly branding. So enjoy this very special edition home stretch, and here we go.
Now, get the edge. Here are Mark and Tom.
Hey, welcome to the show. It's Mark Imperial, another power thinking hour here at Entrepreneur's Edge.
Mark, this is Tom Rebar, and it is time for all the capitalists and all of the entrepreneurs and the self-employed people and the professionals in private practice and all the sales and marketing pros to come out of the woodwork and put their feet up and join together.
That's right.
And learn for an hour.
That's right. So welcome back, everybody. And we've got a terrific show. We're recapping a fantastic week that we had here at Entrepreneur's Edge. We just had our Entrepreneur's Edge live event last Wednesday. And boy, it was a hoot. The party was jumping. I'm telling you, they almost had to kick us out of that hotel.
They did, and there's nothing like talking about advertising and copywriting that gets people out of their chairs, because once you start talking about that, people realize that even if you thought you knew everything there was to know about it, you realize there's more to learn and more to still learn.
Yeah, the place was absolutely on fire. We had Conrad Hall and Ken Schreiber join us and speaking on copywriting and writing the words that sell your business. What better way to get to the bullet points of that than to recap what we talked about at Wednesday's event?
Go for it.
And you know what? In fact, if you missed it, you really missed a hugely valuable opportunity to boost your response. Because I'm talking about, we talked about headlines and postcard and copy that got 4 to 5 times the response of another control. So that's a 400 to 500% increase by just changing the words on the paper. How many folks don't think about that?
A whole bunch.
So we started out, one of our guest speakers, Ken Schreiber, he was talking about lead generation and the minute differences about generating leads with your copy as opposed to like using sales conversion. Now, one of the key points and takeaways he talked about, he started out, check this out. The first thing he said when he got up on the stage is he said, "Who here wants a surefire way to get new customers or prospects without any marketing cost?" And all the hands went up, right?
Mine went up.
Yeah.
I was the first one.
Now, guess what? He says that was the first lesson in lead generation. You are trying to identify exactly with the person what is it that they want. So if you have the right market, the right list, and then you give them that question, who wants this solution? And you're talking directly at a person, and they raise their hand and identify. That is it. That's as simple as that. And then you make them an offer that they just can't refuse.
Because all you want is to find out who those people are who are willing to raise their hand.
Yeah, and you could adapt that into any business type that you can. Now look at this. Another key is speaking directly at that target person. If you get a list, if you're doing a mailing, a postcard mailing, and you know who that customer is you're looking for, you identify it and you speak directly at their problems. You have to identify, and we talked about this. I call it the hidden benefit, because you have to think about your customer and think of all the problems that they have in their lives, because what you are is you're a problem solver. That brings up another point. A lot of business owners, a lot of businesses out there, they make the mistake, and we had some folks talk about this in the room as well. I say, what is your ad about? What was the message you put in your marketing? And they said, well, a discount, a discount or percentage off. And the reality is that they're trying to sell their product directly. And we say that kind of hurts your response, because when you try to sell your product directly, the only people that are responding are those that are ready to buy like your widget or your thing right now.
At that immediate point in time.
So it's about transcending timing. So we're going to be back after this break and continue, because we've got a lot of nuggets that came out of that event on writing words that sell. BusinessEdgeRadio.com. Go to the website, get our free gift, and we'll be right back after this.
Stay with us.
Business owners and entrepreneurs. Once again, here's Mark and Tom.
Hey, welcome back to your Power Thinking Hour for entrepreneurs and business owners. It's Mark Imperial.
This is Tom Rebar. Hey, Mark, let's go back to that, the story you were telling right before the break about the person who was going for the jugular and trying to make the big sale right out of the gate. Let's try to make sure we bring the loop fully closed there. What do you do to get around that?
Well, let's see. As I mentioned, a lot of business owners, they think, they're not, they're in the mindset of I got to sell my thing. So they're focused on how can I sell my thing? Let me present my product or my service, and let me give a discount or a coupon. That's like the knee-jerk reaction to what they're offering.
And then when people don't buy, right away they think, my price is still too high. So they get into this headset of, now I got a further discount.
Yeah, they're focusing on the wrong thing, and it's because they get a low response rate. But our answer to that, what we know from testing, is that the low response rate is because you're not transcending timing. You're making an offer for people that are ready to buy right that minute. But then when somebody is in the buying cycle, but they're not just quite ready to buy yet, and maybe a month down the road, they forgot all about you. You're only picking up the immediate buyers. You have to find a way to transcend the timing, and we do that with lead generation.
And it has nothing to do with price. So
That's right.
Get price out of your head, that it's not that your price is too high.
That's often the last thing to even consider is the price. I mean, the example that I'm going to give you and for the listeners is we had a terrific home remodeling company in the audience and asked us, how do we directly link what we're talking about here at the event to his type of business? I said, is there a business that feels like they don't know how to link this lead generation strategy to theirs? And then he raised his hand and he said, home remodeling, what do I do? And I said, what are you doing currently to get your business? He said, I did a mailing. What was the offer on the mailing? It was a discount of some sort. And we told him the same thing. You're selling a discount. You're only going to pick up the buyers ready to buy now. And then he said, well, what's the alternative? Well, the alternative is you want to find people that may not just be thinking about buying right now, but maybe they're already in their head. You know what? 6 months from now, a year from now, I know I'm going to have a move. How are you going to get those people to identify themselves so you can continue to stay in front of them? Well, we said, why don't you offer a report called, the 7 deadly traps and how to avoid them, how to save blah, blah, blah on your remodeling costs, how to get how to remodel your kitchen, your home or whatever, and save the maximum. 7 deadly traps, a report that is going to be useful to that prospect. That way, even if it's 6 months or a year from now that they're thinking about the move, they still want that free report. That little trick alone increases the response 4 or 5 times. Easily.
And you could tell that this fella, because I was sitting across the room from him, he had a big smile on his face as soon as you started to unveil that story, because you could tell right away he got it. Mm-hmm. And head kind of went back into that makes sense right away to him. So
that's right.
He was a very smart person.
Yeah. So, back to the list of what Ken Schreiber was speaking about. He's, another nugget was speak directly at him. Who is it that you're mailing to and what is their direct problem? The next point is the everyone's favorite radio station besides WIND is WIIFM. What's in it for me?
Exactly.
So that, literally the headline or the message that you put on your mailing pieces has to address directly at them because it has to pass that test. Conrad Hall mentioned this, the so what test. You read your headline, whatever you consider your headline, and run it through your own head and say, okay, I read something and so what? Is it going to make you say so what, or is it going to intrigue you to read further?
Well, in fact, he even suggests to do that for every one of your bullets. When you put the bullet there, just read it out loud and say, now, so what? What is that person going to answer if they read it and you say, so what, to give yourself a chance to substantiate that bullet in your head?
Yes, that's right.
Is it a worthy bullet?
Yep. And I have a litmus test actually for you. Let's first of all, let's wrap up with what Conrad was talking about before we even go into the litmus test on headlines. But, Conrad has a great description for copywriting. He said it's the art of using words to create action. Now think about that. The art of using words to create action. How many folks really think of their advertising in that way? The most of the time I see people doing an advertisement, it's like the name of their company or their logo. How does that create any action?
One of the best testimonials for last night was I brought my assistant along to your summit. He is just beginning to think about the art of copywriting. And when we left, he said that was one of the best meetings he's ever been to. And he got more notes in a short period of time about how to write copy than he ever thought he would by coming along last night.
It's incredible. And, a lot of the stuff that, many of our pros in Mastermind, for example, we take it for granted because we've been so immersed in this kind of marketing, but it's eye-opening for many. For example, one of the keys, the big keys that was huge for everyone in the room was when Ken Schreiber described, and remember the headline, who else here wants to know how to acquire new customers and prospects without any acquisition cost? Right. Now, how do you do it without acquisition cost? Well, if you were at the summit, I don't have enough time in the next 4 minutes to tell you, but you can do, it was a brilliant strategy he had about liquidating your marketing costs. Mm-hmm. And so you have to be at Entrepreneur's Edge live events. And these are the kind of things that we talk about. So, this is probably the best time ever to give a plug for the next live event. Make sure you go to Business Edge Live or businessedgeradio.com, click on the live events tab, and you're going to find the next meeting in Madsen, the next meeting in Green Bay, and the next meeting in Oak Brook. Hey, we've only got about a minute here, and I want to talk about one bullet. I have about 12 here.
Go ahead.
But let's talk about the headline, because what is the headline? The headline of your ad is the ad for your ad. Does that make sense? And what is the only job of the headline?
The only job of the headline is to shout it out and get somebody to be interested in taking the next step, which is to read what else is there.
Read the next line, absolutely. And it's the most valuable real estate on your ad or your postcard or your mailing. And what do most companies inadvertently waste in that space? What do they do in that space instead?
How many people put the name of their company or their logo up at the top of the ad or the top of their website, and then they wonder why nobody's reading it? It's because they never had a headline there.
Hey, in the wrap-up, I'm going to give my litmus test for great headlines for all the listeners. After the break, Tom Apicella from Think Spaces in Naperville, Illinois, will be joining us to give us his tips, tricks, and secrets for furnishing your office. We'll be right back. BusinessEdgeRadio.com.
We'll be here. Stay with us. BusinessEdgeRadio.com for all the events.
Hey, we're back. It's Mark Imperial.
And this is Tom Rebar. We are in the home stretch again, Mark. I can't believe another week has gone by so fast.
That's right. Hey, we're back here with Tom Apicella from Think Spaces in Naperville, Illinois. Hey, Tom, I wanted to ask you, you just recently joined our mastermind group here at Entrepreneur's Edge. Can you tell me what drew you to the group and what you're getting out of it so far?
Well, what drew me to the mastermind group is, I want to have other like-minded entrepreneurs and people that I can basically bounce ideas off of, talk about my business to help expand it. Because as a lot of people know, there's a lot of businesses in one business that you can extrapolate from. So just having that, and then it's also, for accountability when you come up with new strategies and ideas, there's some accountability because they're going to ask you, well, what did you do with what you said you were going to do with last month?
Yeah.
And, action is the way to make things happen in business.
That's terrific. And now for the folks listening, whether they're a property manager or a business owner looking to move or improve their spaces, how can they get a hold of you for your information?
You can go to thinkspaces.net and you can fill out one of our interior design contact forms, or there's a phone number on there that you can call, 630-324-4598.
Tom, it was terrific having you on the show. Thank you for coming out today.
Thanks for having me, guys. Enjoy the show.
Terrific. Thank you. Tom, we're on the home stretch now.
We are. I can't believe it.
Now, I promised a litmus test for people to test whether their headlines are any good.
So give them.
All right, here it is. Now, this is sort of like the classified test, if you think of like a classified ad. And what are the classified ads all about? It's usually a small, tiny little ad, right?
Very small.
With just, you don't have enough room to put anything but a blurb and a call to action, a CTA, like a phone number, right?
That's exactly right.
So what you do is you take whatever you think is your headline and then you neuter out everything else and just put your phone number or whatever your response mechanism is under it. And if the two make sense and entice you to move forward, like let me give you an example. What do most people use as their headline that's wrong? And we talk about this a lot. The company name, right?
Name and maybe a logo.
So let's look at the litmus test. A to Z painting, phone number. Now, is that entice you to take any action?
So who'd call with A to Z painting and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9?
That's right. There's no words that cause action. Now, what if the headline? Let me think just off of the top of my head here. Let's use an example for a bowling alley. Okay, something weird. Now, what if the headline said "How to bowl a 300 every time" and then a phone number? Now, that causes you a little bit more enticement to call that number.
Sure
So
would.
there's a difference between that's the litmus test. Take your headline and put just the headline and the phone number or response mechanism. And is that enough to make somebody take some action? That's the litmus test.
Great test.
So that makes every word count.
Hopefully nobody just puts that in an ad, a headline and a phone number. It'd be nice to have a little more copy than that. But I understand what the litmus test is.
Yes, absolutely. So that's what we talked about, and it's about all the time we had to talk about today was headlines, but it's the most important piece. What else do we know about headlines? Headlines are the most important part of the ad. You remember at the event, I gave you 3 headlines that were tested, and I'll tell you what. Let's do the test right now. One of the headlines got 5 times the response of the other 2. Was it headline A, I've never been able to get a good portrait of my child until now? Or B, finally a children's portrait worth more than the paper it's printed on? Or C, the best children's portrait at the right price guaranteed? We did this test. People raised their hand. The room was about split. But the answer is B. And again, we said, what's the reason why? Everyone gave reasons that they thought why B won. But the truth is, it doesn't matter. You just have to test.
And everybody's afraid to test.
And guess what? They didn't change any other part of the ad.
Customer.
Just the headline.
Hey, go out to businessedgeradio.com. We have Wayne Brightbath coming this next month in March up in Green Bay and Madison. He's going to talk about business use of LinkedIn. Unbelievable ideas. So come and see us.
See you later.
Hey, it's Mark Imperial. I hope you enjoyed those highlights. Again, if you know a professional or business that we should feature on the show, you could nominate them by emailing me at radio@markimperial.com. One more time, that's radio@markimperial.com. Until next time, this is Mark Imperial. Make it a remarkable week. Take care, everybody.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.